Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Lego Dungeons and Dragons Collectible Minifigure Series 71047. We are getting this on September 1st, and today I want to talk about the Dwarf Barbarian with Axe. All right, so we're getting a dwarf. This is really critical because the building blocks of Dungeons and Dragons are human, dwarf, elf. There are 35 species, right? And you can add species all you want, but you really can't take any away, right? And the reality is, I don't think there's a single official canon D&D setting that does not have human, dwarf, elf. Now, why is that? Because from day one, Dungeons and Dragons First Edition had hobbits and Balrogs. It was right there. We know this because the making of Dungeons and Dragons, the making of original Dungeons and Dragons 1970 to 1977, literally prints it just right there in black and white, blue and white actually, for everyone to see, right? And so Tolkien's human, dwarf, elf triangle has been in Dungeons and Dragons from day one. And so first of all, so we're getting a dwarf, and it's important to understand this dwarf's beard is probably going to look a lot like a Tolkien dwarf's beard, right? Their size is going to be halfling, their size is going to be a little taller than a halfling. And we already have our first dwarf, but that is a dwarf cleric, right? Now we're getting a dwarf barbarian. And the axe is epic. The axe is absolutely massive. It's double-sided, and it is a big, chonkin black iron battle axe, right? And I think that makes sense because yes, we absolutely do get dwarf clerics in Dungeons and Dragons, but I think a lot of people are like, wait, if you're going to give me a dwarf, can he throw down? Or can he put an axe in somebody's skull? Yes. So that's what we're getting right now from Lego Dungeons and Dragons. Is a dwarf barbarian with axe. All of this is needed. We needed the axe, right? We needed the dwarf. We needed the barbarian. And to be clear, the torso of this dwarf is going to be easily usable for humans, and for humans, right? What's really interesting is at this point, elves are not really differentiated at the Lego scale. They're not any thinner or more like regal, not yet, but they may become that way. So I thought this was I think this is an absolutely fully needed. We need dwarves. We need the barbarian class. Also, this is the first time the barbarian class is being provisioned officially in Dungeons and Dragons, officially in Lego for Dungeons and Dragons, and we're getting an official battle axe. I think this is a perfectly used slot. And the reality is, every single species that we don't have that's already in canon is a good use. And every single class is needed. Like, we need to get all of this stuff in, right? Like, we definitely need to get this stuff into Dungeons and Dragons. So this is perfectly used for core mechanics. This is a core class, core species, absolutely core weapon. This is a perfectly used slot. I think Gary would be double thumbs up on the choice of this slot, and I'm very excited to get the dwarf barbarian with battle axe. And also, I've already heard it, right? So I'm kind of I'm returning to Lego. I kind of took a hiatus, but as soon as they announced it for Dungeons & Dragons, I came back with a vengeance, right? And one of the things that wasn't around when I was a kid and when I was into Lego was army building. And I absolutely think that the dwarf berserker with battle axe is going to be collected for army building, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.